Good morning, my brothers and sisters in Christ, my family, and my friends. I'm Minister Thomas McBride, and today is February the 3rd, 2024, and I will be reading you all the morning devotional. And the devotional I read from comes from the Glorify app. I highly suggest you download it. Alrighty, so we're going to go ahead and start off with our inspirational quote. And today, our inspirational quote comes from Oswald Chambers. And it reads, "No healthy saint ever chooses suffering. He chooses God's will, as Jesus did, whether it means suffering or not." I like that. That's pretty deep. Alrighty, so we're going to go ahead and jump into our Bible passage for today. And today, our Bible passage comes from Job, chapter 1, verses 6 through 12. And the version I will be reading is the New International Version, but I highly suggest you read the King James. And it reads, "One day the angels came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them." Verse 7, "The Lord said to Satan, 'Where have you come from?' Satan answered the Lord, 'From roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth on it.'" Verse 8, "The Lord said to Satan, 'Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil.'" Verse 9, "Does Job fear God for nothing?" Satan replied. Verse 10, "Have you put a hedge around him and his household and everything he has? You have blessed the work of his hands, so that his flocks and herds are spread throughout the land." Verse 11, "But now stretch out your hand and strike everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face." Verse 12, "The Lord said to Satan, 'Very well then, everything he has is in your power, but on the man himself do not lay a finger.' Then Satan went out from the presence of the Lord." May the Lord add a blessing unto the reading and the hearing of his holy word. All right, let's jump into the devotional. Suffering is never easy to reflect on. However, the fact we all experience suffering means we can't ignore it either. We must wrestle with it. Otherwise, we end up woefully unprepared to cope with difficulties when they arise. Thinking about God and suffering needs to be part of our faith journey. It prepares us for hard times. Imagine a fire station that waits until the alarm sounds to start planning how they're going to deal with the incoming emergency. Who will drive the fire truck? Where's all the gear? It would be madness. Of course, this isn't how they operate. Fire stations have developed detailed plans before the emergency so that when the bell sounds, everyone knows what to do. The same goes with our suffering. If we wait until something bad happens to consider our reactions, we're in trouble. We need to contemplate suffering before an emergency so we're ready. The Bible's wisdom literature helps us to do that. It guides us on this difficulty thought journey. Today, we encounter a famous scriptural disclosure of suffering. Job's story. Helen Keller once wrote, "Although the world is full of suffering, it's also full of the overcoming of it." Suffering is a part of our human experience. It cannot be avoided. However, How we respond to suffering is something we do have control over. Some of the most inspiring stories you'll ever hear will involve people's conquering of terrible suffering. Indeed, the crux of the Christian story is centered around a moment of suffering: Christ crucified. Jesus' victory through agonizing suffering is what changed the world forever. As Christians, we're not called to deny or avoid suffering. We're called to suffer well. With the Spirit's help, we're here to reflect on Jesus' light in the darkest places, including within our own lives, and showcase the hope we have in Christ, even amidst the pain. It's a tough go, but it's something we can do when we realize how intimate God is with us through the challenging times. As C.S. Lewis articulates, God's whisper to us is our pleasure, speaks in our consensus, but shouts in our pain. Job's story teaches us the reason of suffering. They're all complex. However, it also encourages us to realize suffering exists and there is no reason to doubt God. Instead, suffering, although not of God, can lead us into a deeper relationship with God. It reminds us that in everything, He's sovereign. Jesus is therefore the best place to go when suffering hits. He will lovingly lead us through the darkness. If you're suffering today, contemplate these two questions. How can you invite God into this difficult journey? Second, who can you talk to? Suffering should never be endured alone. If you're suffering, reach out and ask somebody for help today. May the Lord bless you all. I pray that this devotional helps us, especially in our times of sorrow and suffering. I pray that we can remember that no matter what we are going through, God is with us. May the Lord bless and keep you all, is my continuing prayer. God bless you.